Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here. Hope you're having a great day, and I hope this video can make it a little bit better. We're going to be talking about the weekly nightmares for this week. So we have Jinx, Lissandra, and Aurelion Sol. So for the 4.5 up against Jinx, we have Strength and Swiftness. The foe's units have Quick Attack. This is pretty annoying because it makes the enemy units much more difficult to block, because now even if they have a low amount of health, they can still potentially kill your unit with that Quick Attack before you're able to hit back, so they can get a lot better trades. They also have Snippets of Song, Round Start. If the foe doesn't have the attack token, they summon a Ghastly Band. So you see that right here. This is the same thing that your Gwen summons. This is doing two things for them. For one, it's giving them a extra blocker, so it's going to slow down the game essentially for you, but then it's also increasing their attack, since now they're going to have this hallowed effect stacking up throughout the course of the game. And then there's the Deadly Power that is always here. Now for this one, I would go for a crowd controlled deck, because you can just keep the enemy units from attacking or have a way to mess with their attack. So going for Frostbite is actually pretty good here. The enemy attacks you, you then Frostbite them. It doesn't matter if they have Quick Attack, you can then hit and kill them, so that's not bad. But also being able to have a Stun or Immobilize would also be very solid here. So Yasuo, Ashe, Morgana, Annie, potentially Jhin. Any of those should be quite solid here. For me, I did this one with 3-star Yasuo, and having that extra CC definitely helped out here. Now for the 5.5 up against Lissandra, also note, Lissandra does not have her cost increase power anymore. At least not in the weeklies, at least not in this weekly. So that annoying power that after you play 3 cards, all your other cards that round cost 3 more, that's gone. So that makes Lissandra much easier to deal with and makes her much less of an annoying fight. Anyways, the modifiers we have Noxian Entertainment. So game start, the foe summons the arena, so their strongest unit is going to strike your weakest. Now note, you can turn this to your advantage. If your weakest unit is stronger than their strongest, you can get essentially free removal from this, but something you need to be careful of, because this can just end up killing a lot of your units. We also have Immolation, so round end deal 2 to all the players' units. This one can be pretty rough, so really to deal with this, you either want to go very fast, where you're ending the game before this Immolation is killing you. So if you have any of your decks that can end the game in the first couple rounds, like if you have 6-star Misfortune, or Gwen, Viego, Jinx even, any of those that can really put on a ton of pressure and just end the game very quickly, that's really what you're going to want to be doing here, because otherwise this is just going to slowly kill you. Now, you might be thinking, since this is dealing damage to your units, Tahm Kench would be good here. And it's possible if you get lucky, but baseline, when your units take damage, they increase their power by 2 and their health by 2. So essentially, you're never going positive as far as your health. You're always staying even or just getting lower. So unless you get lucky and get like the endurance power to give you an extra 1-1 when you take damage, I don't think Tahm Kench is really going to be able to survive this. Now, maybe in the future when he gets a Constellation, but as far as right now, I don't think this is going to work out well for your Kench. For me, I actually ended up going for Volibear here. For one, a lot of Volibear's units have high health pools. Several of them have Tough. Also in your Constellation, you get an upgrade. So that any 6-cost units you get have Tough as well as Regen, which is a pretty massive counter to this Immolation. And they also get an upgrade, so your Tribalist also has Regen. So that really helps counter this Immolation. And then with the arena, you can often use this to your advantage and be killing enemy units, giving yourself more sigils. So if you have a Volibear that's at a fairly high level, then he can be pretty solid right here. But for most champions, you just want to be rushing this down as fast as possible. Now, as far as like 3-star champions, you can still try to go for like your Diana as well as Master Yi to try to end this in the first couple rounds. Just note that you might need to have another unit on the board to take the hit from the arena, or you just to make sure your unit is strong enough to hit back with whatever their unit is. Since if your champion, your Diana or your Master Yi gets killed, then it's pretty much a game over for you. So it is still possible, but they are going to have a much harder time, especially considering the last boss is Lissandra, who is a whole bunch of Frostbites and Entombs to just shut down those champions. So while it is still possible, it is going to be a lot tougher here. Last up then we have Aurelion Sol, and for this one we have Endure. When the foe summons a unit, granted 2/2. So their units are going to be massive, because they're not only getting buffed up by this, but then they're also getting buffed up by the Deadly Power. So all the enemy units are absolutely huge. If you're a champion that's going to struggle with having large enemy units, then definitely be careful here. A lot of unit focused decks, if the enemy's units are just too big, there's not really anything you can do. So that can really affect often like Darius, Aatrox, and potentially Pyke. And also could really hurt your Caitlyn since the enemy has so much more health to go through with your Flash Bomb traps. So if you're wanting to play a champion that gets countered by massive units, definitely be careful here. We also have the Broken Blade. When the player plays a card, increase the cost of their copies of it everywhere by 2. So this is obviously pretty rough and completely shuts down some champions like Master Yi or Diana, since they're all about spamming the same spells over and over again. Now, some of the best champions for this one, as normal, is like Aurelion Sol or Viego. Both of them are able to play a wide variety of cards, and they even can generate new cards. So normally the Broken Blade isn't really going to affect you. And then especially with Viego, you have great cost reduction for all of your units. So even if you need to play a unit a second or third time, you have the cost reduction to offset the Broken Blade. So either Viego or Aurelion Sol would be my go-to pick for this one. Also, be careful. You probably don't want to go for any of the crowd control decks here, or at least definitely not Morgana. I know Morgana is often a way you can cheese these harder adventures by just shutting everything down. But for Morgana, generally you're playing the same spells over and over again, so she's going to get shut down pretty hard by the Broken Blade, and even other control decks like Ashe or Yasuo often end up playing some of the same cards over again, like both of their champion spells. So while often a good way to get around giant units is just to crowd control them, a lot of those crowd control decks are shut down here by that Broken Blade, and even other champions such as Jinx, even though she's normally very powerful. Again, you're normally playing a lot of your like Pow Pows over again. So again, that gets shut down by Broken Blade. If you had like a 6-star Kai'Sa that you're really excited about, you're playing your second skin every single round. That's just going to be cost increased as well. This actually does affect most champions, or many champions, especially many of the 6-star or Constellation champions. Lilia would also be awful here because again, you're making so many created cards that you're often playing multiple times, all of your sleep spells. So this one does shut down quite a few champions, and the massive stats shuts down many others. So if possible, I would recommend Viego or Aurelion Sol here. Now for me, I did actually do Pyke for this one just to see if he could handle it, and he was able to get through this successfully. Was pretty rough early on, but did actually end up being able to come away with the win here. But the enemy units are just absolutely massive, which really is a problem, especially at the very start of the game. All right, that's it from me. I hope some of these tips were able to help you out and give you some ideas of who you might want to pick here. If this video did help you at all, a like and subscribe is greatly appreciated. I hope you have a great rest of your day.